One nation, one election. Everything you need to know. So, what is one nation, one election? Currently, elections in India are held separately for the Lok Sabha, state assemblies, and local bodies like municipalities and panchayats. This staggered system means that almost every year, some state or local body is holding an election. But with one nation, one election idea, all these elections would happen simultaneously. Why is this important and why has this idea been pushed by the BJP-led government? There are three main reasons, and our colleague Anubhuti Vishnoi will update you on that.
So, Saurabh, first I would like to point out that it is not like this is a brand new idea. Yes, we've heard more of it over the last 5-6 years, but simultaneous elections is an idea which has been debated for a very long time within the various corridors of government. And please remember the first general election of India in 1951-52. All assemblies went to poll together with the Lok Sabha. Now that is a trend which continued right until 1967. Remember also the Election Commission has always maintained that we should have a simultaneous poll. As early as 1983, the annual report of the ECI actually details it on why do you need it and how it can be done and exactly what we are talking about today's poll. So if the logistics are there, ECI maintains that this is the best case scenario. And not only that, remember several law commissions have debated it and mostly have recommended a simultaneous poll. The issues have always arisen around amendments which need to be done because they are heavy duty amendments. The Parliamentary Standing Committee, I think in 2019 also looked at it very closely, again recommended the same thing. Parliamentary Standing Committees repeatedly said we must have a common electoral roll across the country. So what that essentially means is that, if my name is on one electoral roll, it is there for everything. That same electoral roll applies for Lok Sabha election, assembly election, as well as the panchayat election. So essentially now what we are talking about is an idea of a simultaneous poll where when I go to vote, say, a particular day is the voting day, in the national voting day in Delhi, that day I can go vote for my Lok Sabha, for my MP, for my MLA, as well as for my the municipal representative, okay, or local body representative. At one go, I should be able to vote for all three tiers. We seem to be in a constant cycle of elections. So at least it will bring in a single election, and as the government claims, and lots of there are lots of people who speak for and against this particular idea. The people who speak for it say that a lot of time is wasted on elections, lots of money is wasted on elections, and also every party is in a permanent political or campaign mode. So enough focus is not there on governance issues, on reform centric issues. And if you bring in a simultaneous poll, what will happen is you'll only have it once in 5 years, that cycle, and the rest of the time everybody can concentrate on bringing development and reform to the country.
The two-step plan. So how will this work? The panel led by former President Ram Nath Kovind suggests a two-step plan. Step 1, hold Lok Sabha and state assembly elections simultaneously. And step 2, hold local body elections like municipalities and panchayats within 100 days of the national and state elections.
We should first go ahead and sync Lok Sabha with state assembly, for which it says you do not require any major constitutional amendment. According to it, you do not require any ratification in this particular case. Step 2 is where the catch comes in, and where you do need some major constitutional amendments, because you will sync it with the municipal elections as well. So bringing in all three tiers requires a lot of amendments.
Here is where the challenge comes in different states' election schedules. For example, in 2024, we have the elections for both Lok Sabha and 6 states. However, other states like Bihar and West Bengal will hold election later in 2025 or even in 2029. So how do you deal with that? With a transition plan. The COVID panel suggests a transition plan to tackle this. Once we set an appointed date, the date of the first simultaneous election, all the state assembly elected after that will end their term together with the Lok Sabha. This ensures that from then on, all future elections for both national and state government will happen at the same time. But what if a state assembly or even Lok Sabha gets dissolved early because of a no confidence motion or government collapse? In that case, a midterm election will be held to fill the seats. But here is the catch. Here the assembly or Lok Sabha elected in this midterm poll will only serve the remaining period until the next general election. This keeps everything synchronized. And what are the legal challenges here? Making this happen isn't just about logistic. It requires significant changes to our constitution. The government must amend Article 83, which is the duration of parliament, and Article 172, duration of the state legislatures, to allow simultaneous elections. They also need to introduce a new Article 324A, which would bring local elections like municipalities and panchayats into the fold. But does the government have the numbers?
Now, what is the condition for constitutional amendment? First, it should get cleared from 15 states at least, by 15 state assemblies. Second, in the House, Lok Sabha or Rajya Sabha, it should be passed by simple majority, but it should be passed by 2/3 majority of those present in the House on that particular day. Say, for example, let's start talking of Lok Sabha. In Lok Sabha, out of total numbers, 362 is the number which becomes 2/3 majority. If all the members are present on that day, because it's an important day, even if some members are lesser, then in that case the government will have to have that number 350, 360 number to get it through. Does it has the number? At present, no. If we see the NDA partners, they are almost around 273 or 280 figure. If we add some neutral parties who have extended support to the government, the number goes up to 293 or something. There are 6 to 7 independents. There are also neutral parties who are not part of the India bloc or NDA bloc, like YSR Congress, like All India AIMM-OWC, Azad Samaj Party, Shiromani Akali Dal, ZPM, Voice of People's Party. These are the parties, so this roughly counts to around 9 to 10 seats. The parties which are neither part of the NDA or neither part of India bloc. So in Lok Sabha, the government will have problem getting 2/3 majority of those present in the House on that day. It can be possible if hundreds of MPs, they remain absent on that particular day, government can easily prove it. Or something happens, something of that note happens. Let's talk about Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha again, 245. The majority mark, 2/3 majority mark will be 164. Here again, the NDA bloc today has 117. The number is, as of now today when we are talking, the number is 117. If we had 6 nominated members are there, 3 independents are there, say 2 neutral parties, BJD has 7 members, YSR Congress has 9 members, BRS has 4 members. Even if we add all these numbers, they will still require support from a sizable India bloc MPs to get it through in the Rajya Sabha. So numerically at this point of time, until unless I say, something happens that a number of MPs, a good number of MPs go absent on that particular day. Otherwise, it looks difficult numerically for the government to get it through in both the houses of the parliament.
But what about the special cases? There are provisions for special cases as well. For example, suppose election in a state cannot be held due to an emergency, such as a natural disaster. In that case, the Election Commission can recommend to the President that those elections be delayed. However, these elections must align with the next scheduled simultaneous elections. But how will this all work politically? To implement one nation, one election, the government will require broad political support. This involves passing the amendment in Parliament and gaining the cooperation of the states, particularly because local body elections are governed by state laws. The BJP, which currently holds the central government, will need to collaborate closely with its allies, opposition parties, and state governments to establish a consensus.
A group of union ministers have been appointed by the government who will get in touch with the opposition parties and try to bring them on board. Definitely there will be some amendments, some discussion will take place. The bill may be sent to select committee or parliamentary committee or both, or joint parliamentary committee also. There is a possibility of joint parliamentary committee also, and then like in case of Waqf board, and the government is open to have a wider discussion on that. There is no doubt about this. Government is willing to have a wider discussion on this.
Right now, the government's constitution amendment bill need to be passed. Once that happens, the President will issue a notification setting the first appointed date, and the process will officially begin. The next step is a one-time transition, where some states might need to cut their terms short to align with the Lok Sabha election schedule. Last but not least, when should we expect it? Anubhuti explains.
So So, as per the Coven panel report, what they have recommended is that we start with the simultaneous poll cycle from 2029 election. But I would say that we have to add a qualifier to that. That will depend a lot on the fine print which will come after political consensus is developed on this. There is also logistical requirements. The EC was asked for its inputs, and earlier it had told the Coven panel that about 8,000 crores will be required to conduct a simultaneous poll if we look at a 2029 window. That is their estimate as of last year. They made that estimate. In terms of EVM, VVPATs, remember a lot of EVM, VVPATs will reach their end of life cycle. So you need to replace them. And number of polling stations will increase because the population has increased. So you already had well over 11.8 lakh polling stations for 2024 Lok Sabha. So imagine the number which will be there by 2029. So which means huge logistical requirements. And what is critical is, of course, political consensus. Only when that is done can we look at, say 2029 or maybe the next election. One cannot say that for sure right now.
This is a major proposal that could reshape Indian democracy. While it promises to save time and money, critics say it might reduce the importance of state issues and complicate governance. So what do you think? Should India move to one nation, one election? Drop your thoughts in the comment section. This is Saurav Kumar. Thanks for watching.